we're going to go over the information of using the buffer layer and visualizing the solved puzzle. Now there is a tool for solving this puzzle, and that is what we call the buffer layer, which are these pink pieces right here. Now these normally sit in this center bit here, between the aqua tesseract and Espy tesseract, and there like that. That's where the buffer layer sits. And the reason why we use a buffer layer is it distinguishes what is right and what is not right when solving this puzzle. This buffer is stationary, always in between these two tesseracts. This buffer layer can move within these two tesseracts. So if I do a move like this, for example, it still stays in there, and these do go to the opposite sides. Any move you do, this buffer layer always stays in this position. First, we need to distinguish what is a solved puzzle and what is not a solved puzzle. Normally, when you solve any type of Rubik's Cube or in any dimension, if you look at this, solved 2x2 here, all the sides contain their uniform color. For example, this is blue, this is red, and this is orange. All the sides and all the pieces on each side contain their uniform color, and that's what you see as a solved puzzle, and with any dimension. But why do we need a buffer layer? That's the question. In this case, this is a solved Espy 2x2x2. All of the hypercells, because each cell on this puzzle is a four-dimensional side, contains one uniform color. Right contains all the aqua colored triangles. Left contains all the Espy colored triangles on the corners here. Front and back contains all of the white pieces. You can see that all this hypercell right here contains all the white pieces, and they're on these sort of spots here. Back contains all the yellow ones. You can see here. This all contains yellow. This is the back hypercell. Top and bottom contains all purple. You can see there. And bottom contains pink. And then inside, you've got green here. You got this green here. So the inside cell is one color. Outside cell is blue. So these two here, these two here. These are all one color. This is half of blue, half of the blue hypercell, and this is the other half of the blue hypercell. So this is the same color. So this is right. Posterior, which is orange. You can see all the oranges are in here. They are all one color. That's good. The A posterior is all the reds. So this is one half. This is the other half. So these are these two reds, and this is the other half, which are these two reds. This is also correct. So all of the 10 hypercells on this contain one uniform color like we have on here. So this is a solved puzzle. That gives us the idea of what a solved puzzle looks like. But what happens if we do not have this buffer layer? And put it over there. And so now it has no buffer layer. So what if I do something like this? If we were solving this puzzle without the buffer, and I did some moves like this. Right. Okay, as you can see, doing those moves there, the puzzle looks reasonably pretty solved. Nothing's really changed, all the colors on this puzzle contain one color. Nothing's really changed. But let's put the buffer layer back in. That same position, vertical position, that we had earlier. Put it there and put this in there. Let's have a look at a few things. So the reason why we need a buffer, and the buffer is always in this vertical position. Now, since I've done those moves, this can distinguish what is right and what is wrong by looking at these cells. So if we look at the right cell, you can see on this right hypercell, we look at the triangles here. This contains half of aqua, half of the Espy color stickers. So this is incorrect because this is not one whole color of aqua stickers. This hypercell is not solved. Then we look at the left hypercell. Also it contains half of the aqua stickers, half of the Espy coloured stickers along here. So this hypercell is also not solved. This doesn't contain all of the Espy coloured, all one colour, so that's not right. Let's look at the front and back. So if we look at the front and back, you can see that it contains half of the white stickers, then half of the yellow stickers. So this is not correct because you can see it's half of white, half of yellow. It's not one colour. So this is not solved. The back hypercell, same thing, half of white, half of yellow. You can see it doesn't contain all of one colour. This is also not solved. Top and bottom, we're looking at these stickers now, these purples here, the ones that's inside this diamond. These are the same colour, so this is technically okay. This is the solved hypercell because it contains its one colour, which is purple. So look on the bottom, this contains all of pink, so that is also solved. So the bottom's solved and the top is also solved, so that's okay. Inside is green, so we've got two greens, that's one half. And on this side we've got two greens here, which is the other half. So that contains their uniform colour, green and green. So that's okay. Then we're looking at the outside, which is blue. So this contains one half of the hypercell, which is blue, and this contains the other half of the hypercell, which is blue. This is okay because this is one colour. Contains its one colour, which is blue. It's okay. Let's look at the posterior, which is orange. This contains all of orange. That's okay because it contains all of one colour. That's solved. And lastly, the red, the aposterior hypercell, which is red. In this case, it's these two here, so that's one half, and the other ones, which are back here, is the other half of the aposterior hypercell. That contains red and red there and red there, so that's okay. So in that whole scenario, we've got 4 hypercells, left and right, front and back, that are incorrect, and 6 hypercells that we've looked at, that are correct. However, there are 4 hypercells that are incorrect, which is left and right, front and back. That is not a solved puzzle. They do not contain the uniform color, and that buffer layer can tell you when these we're having this in place. It can distinguish what is solved, because if we had used it without it, and if we had it without it, this looks like a solved puzzle. Like you can see how everything looks kind of uniform. If we looked at it like this, or this, it does look solved, but that buffer layer can distinguish what is not right and what is right. So having that always in that vertical position, we can know that this is not correct. As you can see, all the hypercells that we've gone over does not contain its uniform color. So when we are solving this puzzle, it's really important to have that buffer layer in place and always in that position, because without it, we don't know what axis we're looking at. Like we could be looking at, with that, if we were doing it without it, we could look at this axis, and then that will confuse us completely with solving this puzzle. So this buffer layer is stationary and will always stay in this axis, in this kind of axis here. So it will distinguish between if this is solved, and in this case right here, the puzzle is solved, because all of the 10 hypercells, left, right, front, back, top, bottom, inside, outside, aposterior and posterior hypercells contain their uniform color. So that is the use of the buffer layer. So that is it with the information of the buffer layer and what it's used for. Come check our next video in the series when we go over the canonical moveset of the puzzle.